past. How united we ever will stand for the welfare of all in this land. Hey, hooray to our island, St. Andrew, Old Providence and Little St. Catherine. Soon your children will gain to each attainment every merit which ever received. No more strangers will rule in our home. No injustice to cause us to roam. We have the help of the Almighty above, who shall lead us along in His love. Hey, hooray to our island, St. Andrew, Old Providence and Little St. Catherine. Soon your children will gain to each attainment every merit which ever received. No more evil on us shall befall. Soon there'll be peace and justice for all. We're together as one in God's might. To gain freedom we'll win every fight. Hey, hooray to our island, St. Andrew, Old Providence and Little St. Catherine. Soon your children will gain to each attainment every merit whichever receive.
Okay, good morning. Morning, dear radio listeners. This is next emission of your program, The Advice of the Raizal Nation, by the Raizal Council, the Raizal Authority, supported by the Raizal Development Center. Sunny day here in the island of San Andres, from the archipelago of San Andres, Old Providence, and Catalina in the Western Caribbean. We're here broadcasting out to all our people live through our social media, Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, Twitch. Unfortunately, this morning we won't be out on our internet radio and our normal radio broadcasting through a good news station there at the Association of Baptist Church of the Archipelago. Unfortunately, yesterday precisely, they had a setback. We understand that officials from the national government, case from the Ministry of Telecommunication, somehow closed down on the radio station at Harbor View, a good news radio station. This station has been functioning for many years. And I think we was trying to contact someone to share with us this morning exactly what's going on and what is the plan. Didn't get to them, but we understand like if it's a claim from the government that they don't have a license, then we're sucking a license for the Association of Baptist Church to have that radio program. The same thing it happened with our brother Carlos Pusey there in Perry Hill with his radio station that as well is there for many years, more than a decade, functioning and serving the people of these islands. We wish to see the situation solved very quickly and the rights of the people be restored to have channels of communication and information. Today, as we said, we taking up a next chapter of our accountability report. We had done three already, the whole of this month of April 2026. Today, April 24th, 2026, is the fourth part of the Raizal Council Accountability Report. We went through many, many issues already in the three chapters that we did. And today, we have a long list. Hope we can make it through. And next week, Friday also, it will be the 1st of May, will be another part of this accountability report. So today, we want to try go very briefly through this, and we will have other programs where we will develop in detail much of these affairs. Okay, so it also get you sufficient information of the different action that the Raizal Council, the Raizal Authority is working on. There's a lot of different areas. Number 10 at the United Nations. The United Nations is really a diplomatic international body that gather, all nations that zero around some agreement to conserve the peace and the rights of people over the whole world, where all are considered equal. For that, they sign up many, many, many treaties, international treaties, nearly 200 states, countries that farm it, and they abide by those treaties and agreement, convention, etc., different instruments. Many countries sign the treaties, ratify the treaties, and there are mechanisms that the United Nations established for the civil society to interact with them and guarantee the fulfillment of those treaties. Those treaties are signed by the rights of the states, the country, but as well, and finally, the rights of the individuals, them in each country, each human being on this planet Earth. That's where the United Nations finally go for. They strengthen the conception that every human being are equal, without no discrimination through their color, their religion, etc. So that's the reason why we say here that the final goal of the Constitution of the United Nations is each individual that are grouped by countries. Countries sign the treaties. And so, as I said, they established United Nations mechanism for the people, organized people, to interact with them. And they have a periodical mechanism where you can place what they call a shadow report. Every amount of time, like say approximately 2 years and change, every state that form part, the 190th state that form part of the United Nations, have to report how they are doing to comply with human rights in their country. Human rights according to the many, many treaties that are signed by them. But usually these countries don't carry the total truth or information to the United Nations. So they establish mechanism for the civil society, you, me, or organizations, organized, can carry a shadow report. That's something like an alternative report to the report of the state. We had done some work, a team up with other organization from the archipelago, like Trees and Reef in Providence, and International Alliance to carry alternative reports to the United Nations around the report, official report that Colombia put front of them, claiming that they are complying, with the rights of ethnic people like us. Okay, that mechanism we want to tell you here We will continue to use them, but it's good that the people get it clear what expectation you can have from those uh, mechanisms. You know, usually, as I say, this United Nations is a very diplomatic instance, and that's how they operate. After you place your complaints, it's not a court. It's not a court. You place your complaints to their different mechanism, procedures, special procedures. You can expect from them that they will go back to the country and call them attention in a very diplomatic way, showing them exactly where they are failing to comply with X or Y articles of X or Y treaties or covenant, etc. And they diplomatically ask them to please correct a, such a situation where they are not complying in certain things, according to what they get from the report, the alternative report of the people. So that's very diplomatic, and that's why we say here, people have to get it clear what expectation they can have toward the United Nations, and the result usually can become positive, but as well, the state, after receiving the observation of the United Nations, can easily those take all the time. And when they go back to them again, go report, it can happen, they still not complying and go right so on and on. So we did that in certain reports, and certain things become positive precisely in the time there of the reconstruction from the Hurricane Iota. Many complaints went there to them, to the United Nations, showing where they was violating rights for housing, a healthy environment, and so forth. And they respond positively to call and give recommendation to Colombia. Recommendation that usually you get the effect from them basically from the system of justice of the country. So when you put in, for example, a demand in the country, and you have a observation or recommendation from the United Nations, the Constitutional Court or the Supreme Court or the Consejo de Estado, or any one of these high top level instances of justice in the country would take seriously the recommendation from the United Nations. They have that good reputation and that respect. And that's a positive thing. And it was done. For example, the sentence T333, where the people in Providence, through the Veeduría Cívica Bull Providence, won that demand that that is state that they was to comply with a prior consultation process to decide how to rebuild back Providence. And the observation from the United Nations surely help in some way in that consideration of the Constitutional Court. That's more or less we keep dealing and touching up, and you make using of these special procedures and approaching the special um, reporters. They have reporters for many things in the United Nations, and according to the topic and the issue, we um, we approach. Okay, it's a lengthy process. That's you want to make it clear. It's not something that is instantly. And I hope in the past I have to recognize when I was ignorant to this system, international system of human rights. They used to give us, some of our elders, the impression like we was going to expect someday plane flying over the islands and soldiers from the United Nations dropping down in parachute coming to rescue the Raizal people. That don't work so. That don't work so. Yeah, but you will get it, as I tell you, as a diplomatic uh, action or reaction of that international system. You see the big war here in the world, like and the conflicts them, like for example Israel and Palestine, or there Russia and the next neighbor there. You don't see that. If you don't see it there where they are killing and massacring people daily or constantly, no blue helmet a soldier of a United Nations dropping and playing superhero and rescuing. You don't see that. That's why right now they consider United Nations. People see to say like it's in a crisis that they don't pay and all those type of expression you will hear. But basically, it's because it is a diplomatic body where they can depend, or they have a principle that they take the good faith of each country, that if they sign a treaty is because they got the good intention to comply with the treaty to protect and defend X and Y human rights. So they give the good faith to the states them. And that's why they those catch them up and tell them, I recommend you, you are failing here, you're not doing this too good as what we did agree. Please correct that. Okay, so that's the mechanism. Plenty of our people calling constantly all the time. We have to go and carry our struggle internationally and internationally. We just like you got it clear. We have to know. You have to know how these international mechanisms work. And today we're explaining to you how the international system of human rights work at the United Nations. We are not touching here the that next body of United Nations like the International Court of Justice of the Hague, because there usually they only receive states. That's why when Nicaragua and Colombia had the trash and the dispute over our sea, we did try to get to United Nations, sending letters and try to reach here, but we didn't have that facility, because that court, the International Court of Human Rights, that is below the United Nations, depend or work exclusively with state. There are only approximately about four exceptions in all the history of the International Court of Justice where they permit people different and state, and it's specific and special cases. Don't going to go into that today. Or next program we can develop that profoundly. That's the United. Last week we did already share with you our work at the Inter-American System of Human Rights. Last week we did that on our accountability report, and we share with you our recent conversation with that Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. And today we comply to give you the next part to share with you what we do with the international system of human rights of the United Nations. Let's go on to the next topic, 11. What the Raizal Council know around self-justice have get to advance or work on recently on this last year. Well, we had been singing on this, and not only we, indigenous people in Colombia as well as over the world have that clear, and basing on the recognition that many international instruments recognized the right of peoples, indigenous peoples, tribal people, ethnic people, to exercise self-justice, their own system of justice, how they conceive and see justice that is respectful in the international arena. And it's a call, and that's as part of some of the agreement that the countries of the United Nations signed it also, to respect each of these people way of seeing things. Okay? And well, Colombia is advancing, not only with the indigenous, they respect them for a while, and they design mechanism to interact, harmonize the system of the indigenous system of justice of the indigenous people with the Colombian system. So certain thing left and is permitted for the indigenous people to exercise justice, especially on the same people or others, while it happen into their territory. And just like how they do with the indigenous, they are moving along with the other peoples, black communities, raizales, palenqueros. Okay, so lately, this issue, the HEP, the Jurisdicción Especial para la Paz, do so exercise with us very intensively. I want to welcome Pastor Alberto, the president of the Raizal Council, here this morning to accompany us in this accountability report. Yes, good morning, Pastor.
Good morning, Iro. Good morning, everyone in the studio. I pray you have a blessed day. And uh, I'm so happy to be back with you again. So, looking forward to this be a great moment in farming our people. May the heaven and God bless you and rest upon you.
Thank you. Yes, Pastor, we talked a while about our participation and work around the United Nations, and now we are talking this next issue around self-justice. So I will share
Yeah,
with them some local background, and now I want to share something which you are very well knowledgeable, and you accompany this process very nearly with the HIP, where there was
yeah,
here in the archipelago. They make a lot of workshop seeking to understand the racial people system of justice, how historically they have done it, and how they can do to integrate it, because there is a space in the law to make the justicia transitional with the in this process from resulted from the armed conflict. So in that exercise of justice, they have to respect the whatever got to do with the indigenous people or the racial people or the black people, their way of justice. So they needed us to know. So they come around and they spend plenty time documenting and hear and understanding for us. Pastor Alberto was very near around that. I think certain things done directly with them. They make some agreement to do the work with university, some university and other ones to get to take up that information. So that's an advancement that we can share with you that we have done around self justice.
yes, Hiro. And not only that, but that process is connected also to the Truth Commission. There's a long process that we have coming for many years, what they call the Comisión de la Verdad. And alongside with the Comisión de la Verdad is this other one with the self-justice. So we had like different ones here. We have remember that we had the judge Balanta, who was here at the church, and also at First Baptist Church, also we have that other event. And this is a great step. We've had different, like one, two, or three different I would say, gather to work at Father Jose Club's house in platform there, where we met a couple of times and talk about these issues. We had two right there, if I'm not mistaken. We had one at the church here in Barak, and all of these has contributed finally that we are seeing the possibility of having our self justice. And this does not mean that we do not recognize the ordinary justice. The ordinary justice is one, but we have something that we try to let our people understand what we talk about the legitimacy or ancestral practice. The ancestral practice are valid in here, there, anywhere in the world you go. Your ancestral practice becomes something they call legitimacy. And legitimacy is about legality. So there's not going to be a law that can be created to take away your legitimate right as an ethnic people. Until now, most of the laws are built on precisely legitimacy, the ancient practice. Even in Rome, coming all back historically, we see this is one of the trait, one of the pattern that people follow. You just can't create a law out of nowhere if the law is based on something. And so the ancestral practice of a people has served. And this is what we are trying to get across, what we try to get across to these people, how our ancestors used to solve our problem. You used to go to an elder, a deacon, a pastor. If it was a landline, well, whatever the pastor said, that would be it. Whatever the deacon, whatever the elderly said. These are ancestral practices, but they are self-justice. When you have to uh, discipline when there were no prison, how they would do it, the person would be submitted to whatever the elder or board of elders said. And this is one of the things that Hiro, you remember, you are the one who started with this idea of bringing the board of spiritual elders. These were people that was going to redeem conflict between our people and help us to make the transition to find peaceful solution instead of going to the instances of the ordinary justice. Those are some of the things that have gotten away from us because we temporarily or little by little, we have been overcome and been persuaded to drop our ancestral practice that work, and we never had problem with that. And these things are what we need to recover. We don't want to lose them because it's our heritage. And today we are here standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. They paved the way for us to be where we are at today and to have what we have today. So this self-justice is a milestone for us, and we need to hold on to this and move forward.
Excellent. Yes. Well, that's what we had accomplished already and advanced with. And next, we want to have some programs to go in deeply to share with the people, because usually our people diminish their own things. So even their own system and their own customs of exercising justice and serving a conflict, they many the time as a process of the colonization, everything that is for you, good. So you try believe say everything have to be done through an next person way and system. And it is proven say it is more effective through it's more quick and just. The system very you say you find plenty of obstacle and it become lengthy and that in the next system. I be too crowded and everything get there. They don't even can have the capacity to deal with sometimes with so much cases and cases and cases and cases that reach to them. And sometimes you can just solve it easily, step there by the pastor or the spiritual or the deacon as pastor. So follow. We will have some programs dedicated just to this, to build consciousness and get our people to accept. If the people don't accept the authority of to impart justice, well, that will be a conflict. So we need to zero and agree that this is okay with us.
Yes. Just another anecdote, Iro, for our people to understand. Do you know that if the people who never go to church didn't know what was happening on the island, because the church was where news was given. All the information was coming from church. So people who never show up at church on Sundays or Saturdays, they didn't know what was going on the island, because the church was from where the people were informed. So that was one of the things I was saying to the pastors, that they said they tried to shut down, or they shut down the radio station. This was the voice of the people, the exercise of a self-governed people to to reach out to their community. It was through the church, and things changes when we do it the other way in mass media. But what people need to understand is that what we are talking about, justice and all of this, is nothing new. It's just that we never link it, we never call it what we are calling it today. But this is a great accomplishment. Today we stand like other indigenous people around the world, with some rights, some God-given rights, some inherited rights, and some ancestral practices that today have been recognized by the nations and nations of the world, and especially those that are contained in the sentence 169, those that are in law 70 and other ones. And so there are many other laws, like our own constitution. We are the only people that is mentioned in the Constitution of 1991 in Article 310. So we've come a long way, and we are gaining territory. We are covering some ground. We're taking back some things. But sometimes our people who are not informed and will not allow themselves to be informed, they make comments because they heard what others said, who never asked question. And we need to move on. We can't stop and slow down because one or two people criticize out of misinformation. We need to do what we are doing. Like, this is a way of informing our people, to give them the right to the news. The people have right to be informed, and the right to be informed properly. It's like journalism. For me, well, my teacher taught me that, who was a Spanish from Spain. He said journalism should contain at least three things: investigation, number one. He says information. And third, he says education. What you can't get out there and say things irresponsible. You have to investigate first. Then what you investigate, you make cross-reference and see if that is true. Then you inform. And the information is geared to educate the people, to prepare the people. But today what we see, we don't see this going on. people not even investigating it. They just get out there and talk and talk and talk and talk. And this is causing us some serious issues internally because our people begin to believe what others say. And gossip, good or bad, because it's mouth to mouth, that's what work. So this program and these things are very healthy for our people to know and to be informed. And I thank God for this space because we never had it before, but we have it since last year, and we are doing a great job, I would say.
Yes, really. You have a comment there from our listener through YouTube or YouTube channel, Rosa Williams. She greet us and state that it's so true. As islanders or people, we're well known to be people of integrity and honesty. So,
Mm.
very thank you, Rosa, for your comment as we are talking about self justice. And besides, some system of justice, like the ordinary or other countries, if you notice, some might rely when they are situation of they are treating, they assume that they give at least impression to assume that the person is already guilty, while some other quality or some other system is the contrary. They assume first that the person is innocent. You know, that's cultural. That's cultural, and that's why important just because we when we travel to other places here in go to Colombia in the continent, we notice that eh, people walking and they looking to everybody like they want to keep them or want to do them something. So that's the tendency, the prejudge, prejudgment, anticipating they judge you and can, without even treat with you. You are a thief or you're a killer, you're something like that. While other culture is that you grant the principle of innocency, you know, and that's something very important. Okay, so we have plenty to talk about. So justice and we promise we'll come up with program those around that. Next, the number 12 issue that we want to share here in our accountability report about authority. We just talk about justice, and now we're talking about authority and self-government. Self-government, just like self-justice, self-government. Self-government now is the next part of the instancy of the people and the rights and supported internationally as well. That the people, them indigenous people in general, not only indigenous, tribal, ethnic people have the right, based on the right to self-determination to govern themselves under their own system, under their own structure. The states them cannot interfere with their freedom and the traditional way of doing things. Okay? And the evolution. And so that's precisely the one of the main principles and base that we use to create the Raizal Authority. We say Raizal Authority. The full name that we was seeking to manage, those far we briefly say Raizal Authority, the Indigenous National Raizal Authority or National Raizal National Authority. And people know basically the Raizal Council, but it's not only the Raizal Council farm part of that big structure. Okay? And in this accountability report, we want you to know that we don't stay there. Those with the Raizal Council. The Raizal Council was set up in 2013, where they appoint a first provisional Raizal Council, and in 2014, the following year, they appoint a next second provisional Raizal Council. Actually formed by 33 members, 22 from San Andres and 11 from Providence. Some of our members died and some had become inactive. Those that remain there, much keep active, others so and so, but it's still going. If even in one or two or three or 10 soldier, it's going ahead, and we're looking in these days to renew those that really those can't make it for X or Y reason. Okay, and whenever we do the third Raizal Congress, which is the Raizal Congress is a space more anything else to update our agenda, the things them that we have as priority working around as a people. And additionally to the agenda that we treat in the Raizal Congress is a space, the Congress is a space also to consider and that can embrace to renew members of the authority and to appoint members of other structure of the Raizal authority, not only the Raizal Council. Apart from the Raizal Council, we have other body. By the way, you have a body that was set up before the Raizal Council. As I said a while, the Raizal Council first members was appointed or elected in 2013, and the year before that, in 2012, we did set up a body over the Raizal Council, which is the Board of Spiritual Counselor. That got to do with just what we just talked about a while, which is self-justice. That body, the Board of Spiritual Counselors, or you could say the board of our pastors and priests and deacons, exercise justice and make guidance to the other bodies to walk through the proper road of good ethic, good values, principles, and morality. Okay? That is like our Contraloria Fiscalia. No, sorry, I'm passing the mark there. But that's a body in our conception that can keep us doing the right thing, exercise each one the function and rest of body without fall into corruption or violation of any one of the members, right? So that body did exist already, and last year and the year before and last year we worked seeking to restore back the board of spiritual counselors. We have to know how this board works. They are our pastor and they have some main function at the church with the mission, the great commandment, and they take time, yes, for social issue, but we have to know to balance that and don't overtax them. And that's why sometimes depends who try to lead and work along with them don't get ahead because they don't know to balance those things. You cannot abuse. We have to be very executive dealing with them to get their time, effective time, and they keep on their main mission in front of the appointment given for spirituality. Spirituality, but as well the body, material, and social need. And we work also looking to start to mold other bodies of the Raizal Authority because the Raizal Council is not all. It rely on a whole long list of bodies that you see here on the graph below the Raizal Council. It supports itself with bodies of different sectors of the civil society of the Raizal people, like youth, women, teachers, professionals, elders, this diaspora, which is a great percentage of the Raizal people who are X or Y reason leave the territory. They also form part of the consultative body, and it's a matter of mold it and get them to organize. We have a question here to our YouTube page. Dr. Siegfried Castell asked the question, is the Raizal Council the same Raizal Authority? Is an authority, yes, but it's not the full total Raizal Authority. That's what we try to do with this structure because it is not omnipotent or not, but it rely, as you see here and we sharing, you have the board of spiritual counselors that can put the Raizal Council into discipline or the member of the Raizal Council. So this board of spiritual counselor as well can see as an ex authority. And the Raizal Council by itself is not complete. It relies and it supports itself with consultative bodies that are not set up officially yet, like the young people, them, the women, professionals, business people, diaspora, teachers, etc. But the main and most visible head of the Raizal Authority is the Raizal Council. That's why they usually say it indistinctively, Raizal Council or Raizal Authority is the body that so visible to interact with national and international other authorities. You know, so they have that concept. Yeah. So we try here to explain to you here more or less how this set up. This is a mandate. the setting up of the Raizal Authority was a mandate from the Raizal people from the first Raizal Congress made. We had made two Raizal Congress already and looking to make a third one. When the first Raizal Congress made, I think it was in 2002 or 2003. I really, forgive me, but it's one of those 2 years. It was led by organization mainly by Ketna, which don't exist anymore, and supported strongly by MNSD, another organization. And the result of that first Raizal Congress, they did that, you remember, Pastor, by the Hotel Sunrise Beach.
Yes, I remember.
People from Africa, from Nicaragua, from Colombia, from another part of the world. Why? Because not only we are working on organizing ourselves, and many people are more advanced than we. So we rely on experience and knowledge from others. And as a result of that first Raizal Congress, one of the conclusions that hardly anybody from the islands know that was the mandate to establish the Raizal Authority. So some people today they keep taking the Raizal Authority or the Raizal Council, like figuring that it's just a private organization where you care and registered by the Camara Commercial or NGO, non-government. No, 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 and no. The mandate from the first Raizal Council was to set up self-government for the Raizal people. Restore the rights of the Raizal people to rule and say, not an organization. An organization is not an authority. An organization is that you're registered by Camera Commercial that farm by you, your mother, your wife, and your two daughters. So that's not an authority. That's your private organization, like a private club that you created with intention to serve, and you want to rescue the crab them on the island or rescue the shotis and the polka is very respectable, and it want to serve all of us because it's something not your organization alone but for the people. But it's not an authority. Okay? So that's the difference between the Raizal Authority, the Raizal Council is the entire Raizal people because any come to elect their members, every Raizal have a saying there with the right to vote, they appoint, choose who they want, as well as the right to put them name there to be the authority. That is totally different. And a private organization, when anyone named director or vocal, is only them handful web party into it can interact there and hold those positions. That's the big difference between the Raizal Authority. In spite some people resist and confound the public out there, the Raizal Authority is not a private organization. We said the provisional Raizal Council, and why we use that word provisional is because the design of the Raizal Authority is to be appointed through a massive election over the islands. That we haven't done yet because it calls for some internal organization. This proposal to elect those members was to do it massively and by sector. So you would have an amount, like we said, 5 members that is elected from Hill. 5 members, that's an example, and I'm not saying it is 5. 5 from South or San Luis. 5 from Northern, 10 from, let's say, from Providence and Ketlina. I'm only giving example with the amount. So that's the reason why we did call it, and the original name is not those Raizal Council, but Raizal Territorial Council, because the representation was distributed equitatively over the whole archipelago, where each sector have vices and representation. Up to now, it had done that way. That's why we keep calling it Provisional Raizal Council until we set up ourselves with the right way and go to that massive election. We have to keep a database with the record of each member, which one of those 4 sectors or area of the island they party into, because they will be limited to put them name that they want to be authority representing that sector, Hill, San Luis, Northern, or Providence, and they will only be able to vote for the representative of that sector. That call and that are not far from be accomplished. We already acquire sophisticated software and system, and we are working on having our own registraduría. In that sense, when take it one by one, we explain that further on, but we as a government we have to have our own institution, and this is not an exception. So I hope you explained here and it's still more clear the difference between the Raizal Council, the Raizal Authority, and any other organization. We are talking here about self-government, self-government, okay? And the baptism that we get to start to advance with in the last year, 2025, we're working and we try and get near to the teachers, them, create the WhatsApp groups and gathering them, sharing information with them. And we will move to consolidate that very soon, get them to appoint representative to link with the Raizal Council and support us and what you call that, give us assessment. You are the knowledgeable person of that area. We don't want to expect that those in the Raizal Council are a master of all things. No, they have to rely with all these consultative bodies that are below them. The same thing we do in the diaspora is taking up timely and not only timely, they are coming up as far group, but they are coming up and they are helping home greatly great. This streaming studio that we are using here to transmit to you and inform you is give thanks to that body of the Raizal diaspora that they can farm. And so on, we are gathering the organization them as well. And that's the dynamic to consolidate the full Raizal Council. Yes, Pastor.
Yeah, so this is very timing and for our people to understand. You see, most of the time people don't understand. We have a decree that which is 1211 of 2018 that give life or give legal recognition, because 2018 was not when the Raizal Council started, or the Raizal Authority, or how you want to call it. It was long before, and I don't know that. But it was during the presidency of Juan Manuel Santos, when Carmen Vasquez came to San Andres and recognized it with a decree from the ministerio. But the practice is ancestral. You know, we've always have this going on. Now we move up to where we come out with a national recognition as the organization or as the board of equal to equal, that the government of Bogota and the government of the Raizal people. If the people recognize or just accept that this is a great accomplishment, instead of, sometimes I think we are not consequent in our way of thinking, neither in our way of acting. We wanted representation. We got it, and then we turn around now and try to break it down, dismantling it, argumenting that this one doesn't represent you, the other one doesn't represent. But which president in the world who have ever been elected represent 100% of its population? No government in the world. Not even in the palace, not even the kingdom, because they don't vote in palace. A king, you don't vote a king into power. You know? But in democracy, that's what it is called. It's the majority. And so people need to understand, we have what others don't have. We have an entity, an organization that seeks for the welfare of our Raizal people. It's a Raizal purpose. It's not an individual thing. We are not doing things for ourselves. None of us. Hiro is not being paid. I am not being paid. But we are here in this struggle. Nobody from Yemen is being paid, but we are here in this struggle. Why are we doing this? Because we don't have anything else to do? Hey, Hiro himself, he's part of the prior consultation, the National Board of Prior Consultation. He is in front of RDC. He's the one leading everything there at the university, Christian University. He has 101 things, and don't even talk about myself, because my hand is full as a pastor, a family. I represent another international organization, and all of the things that we are doing, none of us are being paid, but we take this work seriously, wholeheartedly, because of a sense of belonging and commitment to make this thing work. Neither Hiro nor myself have ever depend on anyone to pay us. We never asked for it, and I'm not saying that they couldn't have happened, but that's not the issue. The most important thing in what we are doing is because of the right of the people. We want our people to know that we are fighting for them. We're accomplishing things. We are not where we are to be. We are not there yet, but we are on the journey. We have it clear where we want to go. As Martin Luther said, where do we go from here? And that is where we are going at. We are aiming at a bigger picture, and we only need for the people to keep supporting this, stand up with us, and stop allowing other people who are not in favor of us, especially people who are not Raizal, trying to poison those dissidents and other ones who think they have right to destroy what has been built for decades.
Very good, Pastor. Here on the next slide, you will understand more better yet the nature of the authority, the racial authority, the self-government that we are building. Um, we have two very interesting cases that we gone through already, show you what the racial authority is good for in different and way you think our organization can do. We can issue decrees how we want to run, administrate ourselves, rule our territory and our life. We should be doing that. He had been dedicated for over 8 or 10 years talking about the Raizal Council, accompanying the prior consultation of the Estatuto Raizal, the Raizal Statute for Autonomy. And that's fine. Building a document that will have to go to the Colombian government and finally to the Congress for them to deliberate and debate and decide I want to say what can go and what can't go. But more than that, I'm not saying that we are to be working to issue our own home rules. Home rules. The territories are, and we had failed around that exercise because colonized mind think that we have to take out everything through the system that have us colonized. So the first exercise we did, even before the Raizal Council was created, when the body of spiritual councilor we created, the first thing the body of spiritual councilor did in 2012 was to issue something like the first decree. We call it that time proposition. Each state, each people got different name or resolution. Let's call it a decree, where we decide to assume our own diplomacy. We decided was to go and talk with international authorities in the name of the Raizal people. And we did it. We ended Nicaragua sitting around the table with the president of Nicaragua, traveled to the autonomous region of the Nicaragua and sit down with the authorities in Blue Fields, the authorities, the autonomous authority in Cairn Island and in Port Lagoon. We did that. We issue a decree and the decree exists, a document. And that's like you proclaim in the spiritual and the religious and Christian life, you declare with the power of the word what you decided and what you are going to do. And next thing is to do it. And don't mix up the two things. You can proclaim all you want. And then you got the challenge and bring the means to enforce what you declare. And we did it. After we declare, so we assuming our own diplomacy, and we went to talk to ourselves. That was it. That was more or less finally easy. Then to exercise that, you need this. And it takes us a time. And until today, it become an obstacle for us to exercise that we proclaim. Because if we want to sit down with a president here in X country in the Caribbean, we have to have the money to catch the bus go airport and the money to pay the plane and so forth. So get it clear. The expectation that you can have from the Raizal authority, don't go those on their capacity to proclaim with their mouth, but with the capacity of the money that you, as the people and all of us, can put, because it's not hiring a pastor and put out his with personal problem, because we are not doing it as a private organization. We are doing it as the government of the people. So those to share with you, and you can understand more or less better the things that are expected from a self-government. To to rule in territory, home rules. So we decide and we assume our own diplomacy. Colombia stays astonished at what we did. And it became one of the most exemplary exercise of diplomacy by the people self existed in this region of the world. And secondly, in 2025, last year, it was when we accompanied the move and the initiative of the fishermen, them, especially those from Providence Island, Catalina Island, to decide that we was to also rule over the sea governance, get over the imposition of offices that come from Bogota by Cachaco. We don't know if we swim can tell us when time we can go to the key and when time not, and we're begging permits for the SARP. That's something that we tolerate for some of years. We shouldn't have nobody ruling us. We take and get in one can if we go there. So that is past colonization. So a decree take out second decree by the Raizal Authority last year after the one in 2012 our own diplomacia propia, or paradiplomacia they call it. We take out the one last year to govern we see, to determine the ways to manage the resources, navigation, etc. Many things are there pending now to regulate from that decree of sea governance. We have a lot of work there. Those like how when you take out that decree, then you have to carry it down to the details, and create whatever instance, offices, and so, and have the money to carry through. That gives you an example of two things that the Raizal Authority, Raizal Council already accomplished, and that's part of our accountability report. Next, we have a list of other issues, topics that we are going to rule over as well. We are going to decree the creation of the Raizal Authority. And by the way, the Colombian government already understand, and they created a decree last year that recognized that it's the Raizal Council the one to create the Raizal Authority, the Raizal universities. Then, yeah, a decree that came out in October last year, the decree 1098. So they are falling in harmony with the rights that we have, do we want home rules. Colombia are falling in harmony with the international treaties and covenants that recognize that these people have the right, like the 169, the covenant 169 from 1989 of the International Labour Organization of the United Nations, from 1989. So they are getting to the point. And our people still mentally colonized, thinking that when you do certain things, that you are stupid, you're ignorant, or you are doing things out of the way. No. That is your mental colonization and my mental colonization that we should get rid of. We are the one to rule ourselves. But sometimes we have the way to do it, but to still holding back. And so on, we have some more other home rules that we want to take out to regulate. Second one to come up soon is the regulation of the coastal area of our islands. Nobody and foreigners deciding if you and me can go, they go sell mango, patip on the beach or on the rock or put up something. Logically, we don't want to give slackness, it mess up the environment and the island, but in a very artful and beautiful way, we are the one who get the benefit and the fat of our territory and sell. How it is that might be the 99% of the benefit of tourism is going to other ones, not to we. So we are going to regulate the coastal area. And what's third, we are going to set limits on the tourism industry. Issue like this thing with the pilot golf car running over the whole island and running top of that, apart from exploiting economically without no limit, any amount those continue going exploiting the territory. They run top of any amount. If you go to work and you make the list of how much Raizales and local people get run over by this vehicle, some then kill, some then left crippled, they walk and they drag up to today, you would have frightened. We are going to regulate and set limits to tourism on the island. And we are going to set up also our Raizal Guard officially. Just to give you a list of things that we are cooking right now and hopefully submit soonly to have the legitimacy by the Raizal constituency at the third Raizal Congress. Yes, Pastor.
Yes, one thing I want to put there, Haro, very, very accurate that you said. And when the group went to Nicaragua as the National University label as para diplomacy, just want to use this for people to understand or maybe to see how important that action of going in the people. This is what we call self-diplomacy or people-centered diplomacy. In other words, it's not the government doing this. The government can participate, but the government that come from the base, from bottom to top. So the government support the people to exercise the people's centered diplomacy. Now, look, for example, I am in some classes that we have every week on diplomacy, and the important thing of this is what most people know catch on. I've been in every class, and Shusha is the one coordinating this. But the important is that every one of the teacher refer to the act of what we did to going to Nicaragua. In fact, they were even asking me question about that on different occasions. And this week was not an exception. 2 days ago, one of the teacher bring up that, and then they bring me on the scene to talk a little bit about what was done by the Yemen and Raizal Council in Nicaragua. And so they are building this thing big time. Not only that, look at the Confederation of Western Caribbean People. You know that this is built and based on what was done in Nicaragua, because they see that this is a possibility this is a people-centered diplomacy. So this government is helping here to build and connect the original or the first people of the Western Caribbean to bring us back together. They are not doing it for us. They are helping us to get the job done. So everybody is copying from what we've done. And sometimes we don't see how these things has been escalating and how important they are. This does not happen just out of nowhere. This is people copying from a group of Raizal people who took it on the air while the two nations was discussing, and Uribe was saying, we are not going to accept no acatamos, no acatamos, no acatamos. Okay, that no acatamos was polarizing and putting two nations almost at the point of a bellical confrontation. What the Raizal people do, we went to redeem this conflict. And if you look at it one way, Hiro, is that one of the greatest benefit has gone to the country, because we went there as a nation, as the Raizal people, but the accomplishment was for us. But it was look at Colombia. So the National University said, look, these people did what the nation should have done and didn't do. And so they copied that. And this is the day that we have had like a third confederation of Western Caribbean people. And last year, it took shape. They are working now, or we are working now, I should say, we are working on the bylaws, on all of the legal body of this thing, to make this more than what people think is just another meeting. But every step that they are doing is copied from what we have done on self-diplomacy and people-centered diplomacy. So it's not that the Raizal don't know where they're going. We have it clear. We don't have the economical power to push through, but we are working systematically, and we are gaining territory. We have even how you remember, we have Laura that came to the island, and that was a petition that we did also through when we went to this encounter in York University with Professor Miguel, another one. There was a petition that came and became a reality. So the Raizal Council, it has never been dormant, has never been in laxation, but we have been working all the way through, gaining territory, making the Raizal people stand tall and be known on international standards. And this is a great task that we are doing. And I hope that these programs are being heard by a good part of our Raizal community, so that they can know what has been accomplished. Even the indigenous people, Harry, you remember when we went to Bogota with this Christine, they copied from our us, but they have gone left us because sometimes we fight too much and we over elaborate, we over reflect on things, and we want all the facts together because before we make a step, and that's never going to happen. Sometimes we have to risk things in order to accomplish it. And so I really thank you, Jairo, for making this little historical background of from 2012 come back to 2026. Thank you,
Very,
Jairo.
very good, very good. Yes, people criticize us when we was making this move. They tell us that we was crazy.
Yeah, and even treason.
One time you want to do something new, the process of decolonization, well, we can expect those type of reaction for people. We are under mental change. People are not seeing really. They claim that they are fighting for their right, but many things can those take step and do it, but their those become dependable. And if the government, we never got Nicaragua with 1 peso from the gobernación, nor 1 peso from the Colombian government. Not 1 peso. That's a total autonomous move that we did. Okay, we never beg them to contact and say one word down there. We personally travel and carry the letter to the Nicaraguan embassy and deal with them without one intermediator from the Colombian government, neither in San Andres, neither in Bogota, nor nowhere. No, every single thing we done our own. And we went through, and the result, we signed up a treaty with them, something like a treaty. You call it something of goodwill from both sides to rebuild back a relation, commercial, cultural, etc. That's the way you do it. And one thing I can say here that I criticize a lot is the way that the Cancilleria, I'm not faulting the Chancellor, but I'm faulting contractists that are there inside the Contraloria that are too self-centered and trying to kidnap the process that we start doing by ourselves. And I call the attention over and over and tell them, stop, go and talk for us because we big enough and we can talk for ourselves.
Yes, sir. That
You
is
learn
so.
what we do now when you come and you want push we one side and figure say you are making diplomacy for the people. You can't make diplomacy for the Raizal people. It's the Raizal people who do the diplomacy. You can help where we say, hey, help us with a little change. We need the money to go this time Trinidad and Tobago, to go Cuba, to go Costa Rica. But what they are doing there at the Chancellor office, and one of them are Raizal working in there, are messing up the process. Even going and talk as a contratista, going and talk like a Raizal leader. Okay. The moment we come to denounce this more properly. Okay, let's move on here to our next issue, number 13, the time moving up on us. We have 21 issue and we want a 13 to share with the people. Raizal, the Kurul Raizal, or the seat here in the Congress. Pastor, I don't much with this, and I give you way here. We briefly share, so already gone through a prayer consultation. I know that don't burn out. It ready. He was there, he studied, and he gone over and analyzed by the national government through the Ministry of Interior and Presidencia. And I don't know. I will ask the question where it is right now. It is at Congress.
Well, all right. To be honest with you, this thing has going for more than 10 years. At first, it went through all the prior consultation, all the discussion, the work, and this. They presented. Congress turned it back because they said they find different things in there. It was turned back. They bill it back. They sent it the second time. They turned it back the second time. We worked on it, and this is when I came in. I got part of it. The third time, this is when we work on it, and we had many sessions, a lot of conflict with the national instances that refused to see and to give us the right. Finally, in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, June, when we finished this thing, it stayed in the Ministerio del Interior, in the archive. And then, like last year, they begin to unravel it and begin to, undust it out again, pick it up because of some pressure from this president. Wanted to know what happened, so the ministerial pick it back up. They start some meeting. They try even to do meeting without us. Sometimes we could listen, but we could not participate. It's kind of crazy thing. Lately, last year, the Ministry of Interior under the actual minister, Armando Benedetti, it was sent to the Congress. Now, the problem here is, this is serious. At this point, the president doesn't have majority. Guess who are the ones in charge of this? This is crazy. And when I look at it, I says, oh my goodness, how is this ever going to happen? How can they believe? How can they believe that this is ever going to work? You know, you don't want to. The speakers, what they call ponentes. The ponentes, polo polo. Listen to me. I begin to laugh when I look at the ones there, because the people who are the speakers, what Colombia call, what they call in the Congress, ponentes, you have to understand one thing is that it's never going to go through. Why is not going through? Because the people then are on the opposition. And if you have people opposing something, how in the world is this ever going to happen? If you look at the list that is there, how will we ever expect this to go through? This is not going to pass anyway. And it's not going to pass simply because the coordinadores them of the proyecto, or the coordinators of the Raizal seat, according to the law, are the ones who are in opposition to the government. Now, let me ask the question. If you are in opposition to the government, are you going to pass it? Look at the names then, for example. You have Álvaro Leonel Rueda Caballero. Okay, he's the coordinator. And the speakers or the ponentes, Duvalier Sánchez Arango, Jorge Eliezer Tamayo Marolanda, Luis Alberto Alban Urbano, Miguel Abraham Polo Polo. You have James Mercury, and then you have Eduardo Giovanni, Juan Manuel Cortes, Marlene Castillo, Oscar. All right, the majority, practically all of them, are in opposition to the government. Let me ask the people a question. You think this is ever going through? No. No. In this administration, we can't expect it to go through, because it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't have the power of vote in the Congress. The only way this could happen is because it can end up like 4 debates, but they have to be what they call Cámara Conjunta, the Senate and the lower chamber, or the Cámara, the chamber. If this come together, if it doesn't come together, it's going to be 8. If it come together, it's 4. And this will happen only if they can come in agreement. But guess what? Another problem. The problem is that we are in electoral year. And when you have electoral year, and haven't been in the Congress as a congressman, I know how this works. In an electoral year, nobody is paying attention with these regular process, unless it comes with what we call a message of urgency, un mensaje de urgencia. So the minister have to send this with a message of urgency for them to sit in and deliberate on this. If not, this already is dead again. So we are going to see 2036, and we are not going to see this thing. So we definitely need to, a way out is that if we can get to the minister of the interior, and with some influence that we can have, and talk him and see if he will put change and put mensaje de urgencia on it for them to debate it. Because everybody's going to focus on the region, because they are running campaign to repeat back in Congress. So they are not going to pay attention to these things. So they go there, they register themselves, and they disintegrate the quorum, and everybody is gone back to their territory. The other solution I see, and I'm not a liar, and I hope this can be done, is to put it like the atypical. Let's assume that, okay, it's not going through now because the president don't have the majority. But how about if after this election and the new administration comes in, it goes back to Congress and they approve it, and it would be okay to make sure they give us our constitutional and it shows that these people have no will to do it. And so we can demand them and demand the Congress for this, and even demand the one who are involved. And so we need to think about this. But my point is this: if, and I know it's not going to happen now in this administration who is like in a few months, but in the one to come, if it goes back what they can do, they can approve it sometime like a year, and at least you will have 3 years of the 4. And so that would be like, so the Raizal people elect who they want to represent them in Congress in an atypical election, like what we are having right now in the 5th of July, an atypical election for replacement of the governor who has been sanctioned for double militancy. And so this is one possibility. And I believe this can work, but we're going to need to see what can be done. This, I mean, I can't see the political will of the nation in the administration past. This could have happened from Uribe time, but it never happened. It didn't happen from Uribe. It didn't happen in Santos. It didn't happen in Duque. Even though Duque, with the problem that we were facing, Duque came out. If I'm not mistaken, correct me, Jairo, I think there was one decree that came out recognizing La Nación Raizal or something like that. I can't remember too well. But Duque didn't do anything for the Raizal people. Nothing. And worse to talk about what he did in Providence. But we've had silent, we have denial, and for the right for the Raizal people has been denied, has been delayed, denied, and has been ignored over the years. So right now, this Raizal seat or in Congress is not going to happen because this actual government, with all the good intention to favor us, he has not the majority in the Camera. And they are going to sink it there. It's going to end there. And the only way this can happen to avoid yet debate is to have giant bodies. So the Senate and the Camera will have to come together, trash out it, and see what they will do, and they vote on it and majority carry. But it has to be together, and it has to go with a message of urgency from the minister. But if it doesn't go with what they call in Spanish mensaje de urgencia, well, this thing is done already. It's going to be tabled, and that's it. We start back from zero again.
Good. Good. Very full explanation. That's the report that we have around the Raizal Council. Is a special seat there of Raizal people who have the representative in the chamber, the Cámara de Representantes. No? We have a situation there also that we should share here that people don't believe. We misunderstand us. We believe that all the seats them should be by the Raizal people because we're dealing with the Raizal territory.
Totally agree with you. Yes, sir.
One should get one amongst, we share one at the seat with our population that is on our territory, is the others and not the contrary. Because we will be suffering a phenomenon there that the Colombian system don't permitting when you go to vote for the Raizal Curul. If you vote for the Raizal Curul, you can't go and vote for the next one, the superstar. So
Yes.
that one give way. If all the Raizal people go and vote for the Raizal Curul, well, they annul the possibility to vote for the next two curul that come in, that is for anybody, and we are minority. So we are left in the next two for the other population that live with us here in the archipelago. And we consider that is not just nor equitative because you're talking about an ethnic territory, the Raizal territory.
Jairo, this is sometimes is a contradictory thing because okay, I vote for president, but I can vote for Senate and Camera at the same time. So I'm voting 2 times or not. Because I'm voting for 2 instances. All right, you vote for the black community special circumscription, and you can vote for senator, you can vote for other ones, other issues. So I really don't understand. The law is not clear in these things. They said, okay, you can't vote twice. What they call it, the doble votación. But the double votación goes on in every election.
Yeah.
So I think they need to check up on the laws because it can't favor one side and then, I mean, I don't understand this system in maybe because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand much, but I got my head clear and I got my senses open and I understand legal processes. But you can't restrict my right to exercise my vote for a preference by denying it to one and giving it to the others. This is no privilege. This is injustice.
Good. So that's our report around the Raizal, the Curul Raizal. Before we go to the next topic, I just want to give Anna, going back to the one before with the diplomacy, I want to give Anna to two of our uh, leaders that gone passed away already, Mr. Dolph Mitchell and Pastor Enrique Pusey. Here is the photo with the 4 hours that went through that first mission of our own diplomacy. Result of our first decree, our first home rule, we decide that we are to talk for ourselves and not others with international government and anyone and other authorities. Ms. Corinne Dufis, along with Mr. Dolph Mitchell, Pastor Enrique Pusey, and myself. Okay. And the next photo here we share when we reach there to meet President of Nicaragua and trash out situation about our relations as a people, as a government, not as an NGO by the, registered by the Camera of Commerce. Ortega won't receive an NGO that kind of way to deal with those type of issues. You receive a government, okay, an authority. Okay. So let's continue here with our reports. We won't be able to done the report today. Next Friday we have a next one. But before I go to this, we have a question here from Brother Willard. Greetings to Brother Willard Pumir, Brother Lati, known as Lati, here in Dallas, Texas, in the United States of America. Our respect and appreciation to you. He asked the question here to Pastor Alberto and myself. How do you think we can create more consciousness among the Raizal people? Well, one of the way we firmly believe is through this means that, for example, of communication with the people. It's so important, communication. Communication for what? Communication to inform, communication to educate, as well as communication to listen to the people, like how we are listening to you all. You are sending questions, some saying question, and some saying knowledge and teaching and experience to us. As Paulo Freire talk about the politics of education, that's the type of education we believe in, and that build consciousness and interaction in the two way. Not one that we think that the person know everything and the rest want to sit down and keep silence and just listen to him. We look for a interaction where we hear and interact with the people. And that's what we learn. We got certain things to say, we got plenty to learn from the people. What we build and what we work on was not our creation, it was a collective construction. For example, that structure we shared a while ago of the Raizal authority, I helped consolidate that, but I didn't create it as open the people saying around here. I sit with the elders and with the leaders and I take my time, not 1 or 2 years, till it get to be mold to that situation. So that's a collective construction. So here, how we build consciousness among the people, we have to have these space possibilities, these moments and space to interact and care back and forth and sharpen ourselves. That's the way we think so. The radio station that they closed yesterday at Harbor View, that's a key, powerful instrument to build consciousness. If it is used properly and not seize the space to others to occupy that media of transmission. That's a powerful instrument. And this streaming affair that we have in here now, reaching out to you, that's an powerful mechanism to build consciousness. You know, don't, and I stay this kind of way, and I believe Pastor Alberto is the same way. Don't assume that we know everything. Don't assume that we're free from all the chains of mental colonization. You can help take off some of the things them that are over my eyes, and I can help take off some that over your eyes. And we pray that God continue give us wisdom and discernment to reveal and take out those things that keep us in darkness. We indeed have a mental colonization that what causes us to be lengthy and slowly to react because we figure say we cannot operate outside a, a framework that we build and lock up ourselves in. So when then you come out of it, you rather are going to say you are mad, you are crazy. That's decolonization mentally. That's consciousness. That's my Pastor Alberto. The question is for both of us.
Okay. Um, what I think one way to for people to unite, we need to have something in common that we can gravitate around. And I believe one way we can provoke this is by periodical information, like what we are doing, weekly. And this is a weekly thing. So already we start the process of informing. Maybe we need to, for the remaining part of this year, plan in a way that we call it community meetings. What these community meetings can consist of, maybe of upcoming events, of accomplishments, because not I understand not everybody is connected to a radio program or is on the social media. Some elderly people and some who are mid-age are having difficulties or have difficulties to manage these kind of technology. But we can reach out to them probably in like a periodical a community meeting, and we move into the different community. The Raizal Council is going to be in the community of St. Louis, for example. And whoever wants to come, they're free to come. All Raizal are welcome. And we can give info on the upcoming events, accomplishments, and other things. And and also we can do something like similar to what we are doing right now, on this accountability. Uh, because as again, I understand and I am aware of the fact that uh, not everyone is connected of the Raizal people, but we can reach out. We don't have the means at the moment. With the information, we have it. The technology, we have it. But to mobilize certain things and to bring crowd together for an hour or two is going to cause some other things. And even though we have the cotton key wharf with some money there, we can only do three things with that. And sometimes people erroneously believe that we can spend that money. I am not going to do it because I'm not going to jail. So we can only spend three things, and we keep saying it, and people keep saying we can do it, we can do it. We can't do it. We can only make preventive maintenance. We can only pay what we call payroll or nomina, and the administration of the building itself. We have to pay all the services, light, water, septic, and so forth there. But apart from that, we can't do anything. We can't even travel. Neither Hiron and myself can take money from there to buy a ticket to go represent the Raizal Council in Bogota. That's not possible. So we know that we are limited until the what we call the prior consultation closes. When the prior consultation closes, then the percentage that goes to the government and the rest percentage that come to it, then we can dispose how we want it to be used. But until now, people have to understand if that we can't do that. We have three things in the Acuerdo de Voluntades which are binding. If we go beyond that, we have legal issue. So sometimes people think say that you don't want to help, is that you can't. And this is the same thing. When we used to have the meeting, then I finance all the refreshment and the meals from my own pocket. I never take a peso from the Raizal Council yet for anything. I finance the refreshment, I finance the meal with my own resource. I travel to the mainland and out of the country on occasions on my own means. But I can't do that forever. So I am hoping that this thing closes so that we can reach out to our people. Sometimes they have little financial things and we can help. But to have these outdoors meeting is going to cost some money, because first we're going to need sounds. We are going to need other logistic that we do not have at this time. But I think we can start in small scale, like maybe a church. If a church in the community will help us and lend us there, we can start there, and that's a good place to start. Thank you, Haro. So, Mr. Pumir, I hope we have answered in part your question.
Yes, very good. Thank you. I want to share and look when statement that I built some years ago. I remember when we reached to Geneva, Switzerland, 2013, the High Commissioner of Human Rights of the United Nations walked up to greet us, and the first thing came out of our mouth. Do you know you have right to self-determination? She never
Mm.
even said good morning yet. They was waiting, they prepared the way, the meeting, the office was waiting on us. Four of us went there, Pastor Raymond, Miss Corinne, Miss Josephina, and myself. And the first word I heard from this top authority in the world, the High Commissioner of Human Rights. Nabi Pillai was that person at that time. Do you know you have right to self-determination? As Brother Willard is talking about, how do we build consciousness? And the answer that I made in my head, in my mind, I say something briefly to the lady. Much of our people don't know that. And it's become mental colonization, ignorance, corruption, and the result of colonialism that are rampant on the islands. Some don't know, some don't accept it, some are afraid of it, some prefer to be ruled by others as a result of colonialism. They, they have inferiority complex. Some are afraid of it. I don't mention that. Some are betraying their people for personal interest, money, prestige, power, and a lot of inferiority complex. Some believe that they are discriminating the immigrants when they assume self-determination or self-government, and they are not noticing that the reality is the contrary. Some don't care, and you can see Colombia have was more than 100 years under colonialism. That's a big work we have, Brother Willard, to decolonize the mind, and the process is going on too. That program that we have Wednesday night with you, thank you to participate around education and about around the coming decree for ethno education. That's a powerful tools for decolonization of our consciousness. That decree that will permit that we self, our own teachers, be the one to talk and teach our children in the schools. Talk them these things. Let them know the history. Let them know their rights. Let them know that what they have and where they come from are that don't make them less than nobody in the world. Don't make them feel inferior. That's consciousness. And the result will come automatically as a mass of a new generation empowered to make the transformation of their life. Maybe you and me won't be here, but we will let them equipped to don't be subdued and remain themselves on that chain. That's the way to decolonize. Okay, let's get back to our. We just have whoa time gap. The time done, Panos. We
Yeah.
have more points here to go through. We have the reconstruction of the islands. We have the a lot of issue around development. We have a technical institution that we work out and we have as part of the accountability. We have the Raizal Congress. We talk about the third Raizal Congress, international relation, a long list of legal cases that we are running, the partners and supporters that we have, and May we will have a next report and so forth. So we have to do some more accountability report. And we left here until for today, until the Raizal rule. Next Friday or two more Friday, we will continue on this. We want to take the time and just don't run through the things then hurriedly and let the person knows with doubts. We like this as style of report. You know, not the common one you see there where they go there and just running through and supply and mention the numbers and things, but we need to explain to people the context and antecedent of things that they can have report with them. Okay. If you don't hear, Pastor, I will beg you to
All right.
dismiss us on the next program.
Sure. Father, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you, God, for audience out there connected. We pray your blessing on their lives. We pray that you bless them with a wonderful weekend. We pray you bless them with good health and long life. I ask that your grace, your peace, your presence will rest upon them. May your blessing, God, be upon our Raizal people. May every Raizal people, as a Raizal people, God, may we learn to come together, to gravitate, to support each other, to stand up together in spite of our differences. May we understand that we are going forward for a just cause. One voice, one people, one territory. We bless our great Raizal nation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks to everyone. And see you in next Wednesday. We will be here with the education program in the night, 8:30 in the night. And next Friday, we will be back here in Advice at the Raizal Nation. We send greeting out there to our people there that are protest at the Hotel Aquarium. Yesterday, the people from the side didn't appear. They continue disrespecting us, and the protest will increase in different manner. We will continue with your legal action them against this office and demonstration as well. Greetings. We keep up the fight. God bless.
Okay, bye bye. Until next Friday.